So welcome everyone, and welcome the online guests to our poultice demonstration tonight. And this is a very popular lecture because we're looking at all the little bits and pieces that you can do to help the body in its process to heal. And they can be particularly helpful when something goes wrong, when things aren't quite right. They can speed up the healing. The first one we're going to look at is the humble onion. And everyone has an onion in their home. And the onion was the first poultice that I ever did. And I think in your book it's got the poultices there. And you can use onion cooked or you can use it raw. So we'll begin by looking at the cooked onion, and you steam it just like that with all the skin on top, because the bottom will hold everything in place. And ideally you steam it or you dry bake it. If you boil it, some of the healing properties are going to go into the water. And when it's hot and soft, you cut it in half, so what you're looking at is the rings. And what you can do, which I have since learnt, that you can squeeze that and you can put some of that hot cooked onion juice into a spoon. It'll be boiling, but when it gets onto the cold spoon, it'll come to just the right temperature, and then that can be put into an ear that is sore or aching. And then with the hot cooked onion, you wrap it up a few times. You might use a cloth. These are sheets that start to get a bit thin. I think they make the nicest poultice material. You know, the sheets that the 15-year-old boy puts his foot to, perfect. Puts it through, they're the perfect ones. And then you get it just the right temperature, and you can put that on the ear, and then you might cover it with a plastic square. It needs to have a plastic square on it to keep it warm, because when it gets cold, you have to remove it. Some people will put a beanie on. I know when I first did this on my son, the first poultice I ever did, I think James just turned 45, something like that, so this is when he was 2. I had him breastfeeding, and I had the onion against my arm and against his ear so I could gauge the heat of it. And if it's too hot, he'll quickly tell you, isn't that right? And he fell asleep. And when I laid him down on the onion on a towel folded up about 4 times, because I knew that would, his little hot body on that, the onion, that would keep it warm. And he slept for 2 hours. And when he woke up, he was very happy. And he's never had another earache since. Wow. So compare that to my experience of 4 courses of antibiotics over 6 weeks with my first daughter. But I'm very thankful for that experience, because that experience, it got me to go in another direction. I thought there must be something else. But I also remember experiencing the frustration of not knowing what to do. And everyone's saying, don't play with the ears, they'll go deaf. Well, I don't want my daughter to go deaf, but I don't want to be on antibiotics for the rest of her life. The cooked onion poultice, it is so simple, and it was the old lady next door that told me about it. She was 85, I'm about 25. And of course she's not here anymore, so a lot of these remedies have been lost. I'm the grandmother now, and so very happily do I share it. A cooked onion can be used for an earache. When it gets cool, you need to take it off, and often that's enough. But if the earache comes back, what do? You just do it again. One lady I know, she did it for 7 days. Now by about the 4th day, most people are saying, most people might then go to the doctor. What'll he give you? Antibiotics. And when you stop the antibiotics, guess what? Most likely the earache comes back. After 7 days, it didn't come back. So what's the body saying? I don't know why it needed 7 days, but my son only needed a 2-hour compress. So what are you doing? You're listening to what the body says. The lady that needed the 7 days, she'd had earaches as a child and had antibiotic after antibiotic. So maybe now in her 40s, the body had to do something like that to go through that because it had been stopped for so many times. I don't know. But she kept doing it because it brought her relief. And if it brings you relief, what's the body saying? That's what I want you to do. That's what I want you to do. You can also use the cooked onion on a boil. And the beauty of it being on a boil, you don't really even have to wrap it up. Just obviously get it into the temperature that's not going to burn you, and just put that straight on the boil. And you might cover that with a plastic square and tape it or bandage it. And with a boil, ideally you leave it all night, or you leave it as long as you can. And the heat and the drawing power of the onion bring everything to one central spot. And the hot moistness of the onion actually softens the tip and it breaks open. In fact, I've had people say that they've had boils in times past and it's gone on and off for days. It's been so painful and it's painful to squeeze. But the cooked onion poultice, you leave that on, it brings it all to a head, softens the top, take it off, everything. In fact, this lady said she didn't even have to squeeze. It just all came out. And if it looks like it needs a bit more, well, put another one on. So remember, you're listening, you look at symptoms, the body's saying do something, and then you watch what your body's response is. If it didn't all come out, it might need another one. So they're the two places you would use a cooked onion. So now we're going to have a look at the raw onion. And it's quite possible that I might start crying, is that right? So when you cut up an onion, the onion juices, they loosen up the mucous membranes, and that's a clear indication that this raw onion is very good for colds. So if you've got a cold, cut up some onions and you'll breathe in the onion fumes. But what I'm first of all going to show you is what you can do for a sore throat. You can finely slice the onion. So get a few fine slices. So when the grandson or the teenager or the son puts his knee through the sheet, it's a good idea to fold them up into squares. This is a good sized square. So we're making an onion poultice for the throat now, sore throat. And you just lay those little onions down like so, and then you pull the cloth over top and bottom, and then put that round the neck. And then you might cover that with a scarf, or you might cover it with a little bit of plastic and then a scarf, and you can leave that on overnight. Your bed partner might complain about your perfume, but it eases a sore throat. I've had mothers say, my child's got strep throat, strep throat. I think, strep throat? What's this strep throat? It's just a sore throat. But obviously they've had a test and it's streptococci. It doesn't matter what it is, this will help it. So my children had sore throats, they had colds, they had everything that children usually get, and I never gave them drugs. I just used to use these simple, natural treatments. And I see them with their children today. They're doing the same thing to their children that I did to them. Why are they doing that? Because it works. And now I'm going to show you what you can do for a cough. And when a child or an adult, whatever age, gets a cold, it's not uncommon that they might cough for a few weeks. In fact, I've had ladies email me and say, my child had a cold and it's 2 weeks later and they're still coughing. And I write back and say, that's right. They will. But you know what? It'll pass. It'll pass. When the cough stops, it means it's done its job. So we're going to put this on the bottom of the feet. And we get a cloth and we put the chopped onion on. Depending on the size of the foot, maybe this was for a little 2-year-old, and you put the foot, the skin of the foot, straight onto the onion. And then you'll wrap this around the foot, or what some people will do is put a sock on and just put it down the sock. But then put a plastic bag on that. and you leave it there all night. And I remember being with my daughter and her little boy James. He was 3 at the time. He had a cold and he was coughing. She gave him a hot bath and put him to bed, and he coughed and coughed. After half an hour, still coughing, because we just thought, he'll fall asleep in a minute. But we could see he wasn't going to fall asleep. So we got him up and we got a small onion, cut it in half and put one on each foot, and put a sock over the plastic bag, I think, and put him back to bed. Not one more cough. Not one cough all night. You almost have to experience it to see how amazing it is. See, the biggest pores in the whole of your body are in the soles of your feet. And anything that touches the soles of the feet, the body will absorb. That's why I'm very fussy about my footwear and about my socks. Because you have nylon socks and your feet get hot, your body's going to absorb that nylon, the chemicals from the nylon. I'm also careful in the summertime what I put my feet on. I always have leather sandals. And this is also why barefoot walking is so good. You've probably heard about earthing, going barefoot on the grass. I'm probably a bit fussy about where I go barefoot on what grass. I'm not going to do that if there are dogs and putting their droppings there. There's a bit of common sense there. Now I'm going to make an onion cough syrup. So there's lots of things you can do with onion. So I've chopped up an onion, and I'm going to put approximately a teaspoon of honey on top of there, and then another layer of onion, and then another teaspoon of honey, and another layer of onion. I'm starting to cry. If you don't cry when you cut up the onion, that's a worry. It must be an irradiated onion. And you keep doing this until you've filled your jar. This is just the right amount. And then you let that sit for 24 hours. After 24 hours, you will have a syrup. So this time tomorrow night, we can have a look at this, and you'll see that there's a syrup formed. So at the moment, we've just got this thick, gooey, sticky honey. Now on top, I should do about 2 teaspoons. At the moment, we've got layered in the jar thick, sticky honey, and if I move it, I don't see any fluid there. I've just got thick, sticky honey and chopped onion. By the end of our lecture tonight, when I tip that up, you'll see a clear, fairly runny fluid. That's the syrup starting to form. And by tomorrow night, that's 24 hours, you'll see a fluid that comes up to about here. It'll be like an amber, very runny fluid, and that's your onion syrup. And you can strain your onion out, and you can keep that cough syrup in your fridge. Well, I don't know how long you can keep it in the fridge, because it never lasted long in my house. But a German lady said, I've had a jar in my fridge for 8 years. Excuse me, the onion got my respiratory going. So that's the onion. And we're going to look at a relative of the onion now, which is garlic. And this is a nice garlic. I always look for the purple ones. So you want to have a look at I was going to say Australia, but I'm in America now. So I try not to get the Chinese ones. And if you press it down, you can open it up easily. And this is your natural antibiotic. In your book, there's a recipe for the flu bomb. And the flu bomb has crushed garlic in it. I don't say how much, because it depends how much you dare. Some people can handle A couple of cloves, some people can handle only one clove. Also a little bit of grated ginger. Sprinkle of cayenne pepper, or half a teaspoon if you can handle it. Drop of eucalyptus oil, only a drop, there's definitely a measurement there. One lady rang up and she said, Barbara, I can't use this eucalyptus oil. I said, why not? She said, it says on the bottle, not fit for human consumption. I said, we're not asking you to drink the bottle. It's one drop. In Australia, you can buy eucalyptus cough lozenges. What do you think's in the cough lozenges? Eucalyptus oil. So only one drop. Yes, you'd probably be in trouble if you drank half a cup, but I think that's a bit of common sense, isn't it? Now what I'm doing now, this is what you do to a baby. You could do it to a newborn baby, you could do it to any baby. So I've got a little cloth that's a strip, and that looks like about 8 inches long, about a bit more than an inch wide, and I've put some fine slices of garlic on there. And I'm going to cover that over, and I'm going to pretend that the palm of my hand is the bottom of the foot. So I've got a layer of cloth between the fine slices of garlic and the skin. If that garlic touches the skin, it will blister the skin. Not so with the onion, but definitely with the garlic. And you can do this to a baby any age, and within a couple of minutes you can smell it on their breath, because it takes 1 minute for 1 drop of blood to go around the whole body. So this is a great way to get garlic into a baby if they've got a little bit of a chesty cough, or if they've got a head cold, a bit snuffly, then you can put the garlic on their feet. I used to put it on my son James. I realise now, and I didn't realise at the time, that we lived in a house that backed onto a swamp, so my children often got chest colds. When I moved to the rainforest, high and dry, no more chest colds, or very rare. But when he was 3, he used to get them a lot, so I'd finely slice the garlic, wrap it on his feet, put a sock and a shoe on, and send him off to play. So every step he takes, what's happening? A little bit more, a little bit more. At the end of the day, when I took his shoes and socks off, and the garlic off, the garlic was like bits of yellow dried leather, not one bit of juice left in it. It had all gone into James. So that's a way that you can get the garlic into the little ones. Although I find you crush garlic into mashed avocado and a bit of chopped tomato and salt, and put it on some crackers. I find even little ones will quite enjoy that. But garlic is a potent antibiotic, and you can use it as such. If you want to use it as an antibiotic, you would probably need probably at least 3 of those medium-sized cloves a day. And you could have it in the flu bomb, or you could crush it into a bowl of hot soup, or you could put it on a slice of sourdough toast and put avocado on top. But that garlic going in has a great effect for a chest cold or a head cold.